If a patient comes to you concerned about their own memory and thinking, you might be able to suggest an assessment right there and then. But if you're the one who's concerned, or you've been told there might be an issue by a family member or carer, then it's a good idea to plan ahead before having a yarn with the patient about the situation. Firstly, think about who needs to be present. Maybe they'd prefer to speak with an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander health professional. They might have a gender preference, or they might want a liaison officer, carer, or family member to accompany them. Think about how you can prepare to yarn with this specific patient. For example, asking their carer how they would have the yarn themselves. It's also good to think about what may not be appropriate for a young person to ask an elder. For example, about toileting. Then finally, gather all the resources and advice you need to make sure you're feeling comfortable and confident. Because if you don't feel comfortable during the yarn, neither will they. For example, it's a great idea to get advice from an experienced Aboriginal health worker or practitioner. You can even role-play some test yarns with them. During the appointment itself, it's important not to jump into things too quickly, especially if the patient hasn't expressed any concerns themselves. Let's check out an example of how this might look in the real world. In this case, the Aboriginal health practitioner Karen is seeing Auntie Molly for a routine diabetes check. However, Molly's family has told Karen they're worried about her memory and thinking. But before Karen tackles the issue, her first priority is to make Auntie Molly feel comfortable. For you, this might involve a bit of social yarning. Asking about their family and offering them a cuppa never hurts. Then once your patient is comfortable, let them know that you want to ask them about their memory and thinking. Let's take a look at how Karen handles it.
Hey Aunt, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you ever forget things like a person's name or what you had for breakfast?
Sometimes I forget things.
Okay, could you tell me a bit more about that? What kinds of things have you been forgetting?
Forgetting to take my medication or what I'm doing and where I'm going.
And has anyone ever told you that they're worried about your memory and thinking?
They're always telling me I got dementia.
Okay, well, everyone forgets things, some people more than others. I know if I'm having a bad day, I forget things. But it's important to see if it's happening on a regular basis. There are a couple of tests we can run to see how things are going. Do you mind if we run a couple of tests, Aunt?
Okay, sure. But does this mean I got dementia?
No, it's just a first step to see how things are going. And if we pick anything up, we'll do some more checking.
In this case, Molly is happy for the test to be done then and there. But in some cases, the patient might not be ready to talk about it. So you'll have to follow up with them later down the road. Check if the patient has any hearing or vision impairment. If they do, make sure they have their glasses or hearing aids with them. Remember that in remote settings or with people visiting from remote areas, it's very important to check what language the patient speaks and if an interpreter will be needed. You should discuss this in advance with your team or local Aboriginal interpreter service. The interpreter will require some specific kicker training before the beginning of the assessment. They should not be a close relative of the patient, as this can affect the outcome of the assessment. For example, a relative might try to help their family member get through the test. Next up, we'll look at conducting the Kicker Urban Assessment.